You may hear thunder, you may hear rain. If you do, just know it's fine. I'm not going to be on very long. This is just a quick check-in because last night, like, energy was going one way and perspective and energy and everybody's skills were going one way. And then all of a sudden, we all knew something important had occurred because Ryan blipped off the radar. And uh, that's fine because I was like, listen, if he's not going to follow through with contacting me, we know something important has happened. And then we find out what the important thing was. To him, it was very important to tell you all what he had discovered or his perspective on what he had discovered. So my big question is, with all the negativity that is now coming at Ryan, everyone's picking sides. Everyone's jumping to a side. Why? If we are truly looking at this case in the hopes of uncovering every bit of information that we can, legally that we can as viewers, hi Gypsy, and legally that we can as just members of the community, if we're truly invested in trying to find every stitch of information that may help find this young lady, why are we so quick to shut down different avenues of thought? And I think it's very important for people to look at how this is being handled. And the best question to always ask yourself is, but why? When you believe something, when you don't believe something, when you back something, when you don't back something, when you have strong feelings for or against something, the best question to ask yourself is, but why? So that you know where you're coming from, so that you can explain that position to others. Because, hi, Brendan. Hi, music. The biggest thing for us right now is to realize that there is a young life potentially hanging in the balance here that's missing, and that you would hope that everyone working toward uncovering information or bringing information or elevating this story, elevating this girl's name, is doing so in hopes of elevating the chances of finding her. That they don't have any off-color ambitions or, truly vindictive motive. We don't want to come across people that are malevolent or malicious in any way. We're hoping that everybody has their best foot forward, and we're all working to find this young lady. The shift that I felt come over the YouTube community last night was very immediate, not well thought out, and it was just people hoping to be on the winning side. That, okay, listen, there's a young lady missing. There is no winning side. Because even if we find her, this occurred in our nation, in our small communities, in our rural areas where people are tight-knit and they normally look out for each other. There is no winning side. There is no side that is going to run off and say, hey, we are the champions, we did this. Because the fact that this occurred all in our nation says that we all lose. Okay? So winning side, not a goal. The only motivation should be, are we going to find her? Can we find her? Can we help locate? Can we help sift through the information? Can we help authorities in any way? I look at things, I try to find at least 3 or 4 vantage points before I make my decision, and I try to understand the perspective and the emotions from everyone from those different vantage points before I speak. And for me, as you all know, this channel is not monetized. It will never be monetized. And I like my little YouTube family. I like people that are here authentically for the right reasons, and they come to help sow positive energy to other people. I don't like the numbers game that people play. I don't like the clickbait that people play. And if I speak of any topic, I normally put it in the name of the video as a common courtesy to say, I spoke about you. And if you search your name, you're going to find it, and you may listen to what I said. And so when I saw Ryan going on all these panels, I would love to have him on here and bring him and talk. And I'm lucky that I do have an outlet to reach out. That's more than most people have, and I appreciate that. But for me personally, I'm like, well, no, he can reach more people going to the bigger channels with the people that are followed more prolifically, and so I'm fine with that because it's going to benefit that girl. So then you have to look at the channels he chose. He chose them for a specific reason. He either chose them for the time slot where he could go get to the most panels and touch the most lives and bring the most thought to the most people, or he went to channels that had the most numbers. So he's trying to do this in a beneficial way, which is nice. Why he's not bounced on my channel yet, even though bouncing ideas and keeping up, he's not been on here. So I'm like, that's fine, because the priority here is this young lady and getting everyone to be aware of what's going on and find this young lady. So now you have to look at the other side and say, okay, well, why do the channels accept him and seek him out and say, hey, I'll put you on my channel? You have to also look at the other side. So if you're looking at Ryan going on and the motivation for him going on these panels, you also have to look at the motivation for the panels having Ryan on their panels. Motivation there is normally, okay, it creates a great revenue of new subscribers. We all understand that YouTube is a business for many people. So, okay, we all just kind of go, okay, well, that's part of it. And we just kind of understand that the financial component may be mixed in for a lot of people. That's okay. Heather, we all want to know. And she needs to be found, and we need to put the focus back on her, because today what I've noticed is there is this separate level argumentative uproar that's going on that is taking the highlight off of this young lady. And if we look at the panels and we ask, okay, but why? Why did you have Ryan on there? We understand why Ryan might have wanted to go on those specific panels, but why do those specific panels want Ryan? They're going to benefit in some way. They're going to get new subs. They're going to get a lot of traffic. They may even get a lot of financial kickback from it. It may boost their channel. But if we strip down all of that and look at, they're obviously, hopefully, into true crime for a reason, then these people hopefully are doing this in order to get word out, spread all information, and basically turn over every rock. We want to flip every stone. That's the hope. That's like the top-notch, perfect motivation is, I'm here to help in any way, all this information get out so we can basically look everywhere, have everyone looking, have everyone informed, and have everyone sharing information in a positive energy so that we can work together and work together well. We all also understand that until this young lady is found, anyone that has any specific type of contact or was present in her life or reports any certain behavior may be a suspect. I mean, potentially everyone is a suspect. Everyone, even me, even though I'm across the nation, even me. So everyone should be looked at with a critical eye. So if people say, hey, I want to know more about you, okay. When you meet people on the internet that play roles and share information, you should want to know more about them. Okay. My big concern is to see someone that does this for a living, that goes online and does this for a living, looks into true crime issues, looks into stories that confuse us all and emotionally tie us up and put our stomachs in knots. They do this for a living. And from what it seems, they seem to have, an acceptable form of motivation to do so. But when the question is bounced back off of them instead of off of someone else, why does the energy change? Why does the demeanor change? Why does the concern change? Why does the entire plot change? Why does the story go away? And why is the story now, I'm in danger, I'm being victimized, this needs to stop? We completely dropped Kylie. When someone that's kind of aged and older like me and has worked in this field and dealt with a lot of criminal issues, if Ron had been on my panel and been like, are you creating something? Are you doing something for hits? Or have I gotten too close to home? Is there something you want to tell? I'd have been like, no, why? Did you find something? Do we need to tell people what you found? Who did it implicate? Me? Why? Well, let's look at that. Because if my motivation is actually to find Kylie, I'd be like, spill the beans. Even if it's, pointed toward me, let's spill the beans. Let's get that out there. Because it may be something that's useful in actually resolving an issue with the case. And I know me. I'm not concerned about what you may find out about me, because I know who I am. I know what I've been up to. I know what I've done and not done. And so I'm here going, oh, shoot, yeah, no. Turn that information loose. Let's look at that. I wouldn't go, I feel like a target. Why are you targeting me? I wouldn't feel that at all, because I understand that everyone's a suspect. And if I put myself into this little event that's occurring, I have to be willing to allow all eyes upon me as well, especially if I'm going to substantially look at other people and try to, in depth look at their story, tear their story apart, or find out more about them, or create avenues of concern for others to look at. I should anticipate that being done toward me, because I am also in the spotlight. Hi, Denise. Hi, Snuggle. Mississippi Granny, hey. So I just want everyone to ask themselves, but why? Why this morning is there such an energy shift in the Kiely Rodni case pertaining to Ryan Upchurch and this other person? Why? We should look at everyone. We should look at everyone intensely, look at their motivation for what they're sharing. We should just have a very critical eye. We should want clarity within this case. And when you look at others with a critical eye, it doesn't mean you're a victim. It means that you have someone looking at you with a critical eye. There is no victimization there. So I've had other people say, well, Ryan is scaring me. Why? Are you physically in harm's way? Has he physically threatened you, verbally threatened you? Do you have a list of prior physical or verbal altercations that have been, that he has been convicted of, or they have been substantiated, and that this is a set pattern for him, that he attacks people verbally or physically, and you should therefore be afraid because you have a set behavior pattern in the past that you believe could extend to the future? No? Okay. Have you received anything personally from him that would state he has a beef with you? No? Have you seen him physically get violent with somebody on a video or something? Like criminal violent? No? Oh. But you're used to him getting onto topics and getting really passionate about them and really burning the candle at both ends until he's satisfied he has done all that he can do. Oh, you're used to that. Yeah. Okay. So why is this different? Oh, it was only different when someone else told you their emotional feelings on what their emotional. So there's no validation with physical actions or behavior that was witnessed. There was no contact between the two. Oh, but the contact they had, they actually requested and welcomed Ryan into their space, and they controlled the dynamic. But they feel like a victim even though they were in control. Are you sure you're not just following somebody's emotions and not logically looking at this? Because lots of times people can have an emotional story and tell that to you, and you will pick up on those emotions and attach to those emotions and almost believe the story without any information or proof or evidence. And I find lots of times, especially in today's society, especially politically and with all these ideologies that we have floating around this nation right now, which is stupid because we're all human beings, but a lot of people will emotionally assign themselves to a side, but they forget to look for physical behavior, actions, proof, evidence to substantiate what they're feeling emotionally. Emotions are very important, but just because somebody feels a certain way doesn't make it the absolute truth. I could feel that there was an asteroid from space fixing to hit this world and it was going to take us all out, and I could be terribly terribly nervous and anxious, and I could whip you all up into that same anxiety. But unless I had proof from NASA, screenshots from satellite, would you logically believe me? Would there be a question of the why? Are we asking ourselves the correct questions? Are we looking at everyone with the same level of of well, just the same critical level for everyone? The same? Are we looking at everyone and expecting the same clarity, looking with the same critical eye, using the same judgment? We should have a foundation of how we view these things and how we put what we want in our basket in our brain and what we don't want we leave out. And I just see people like jumping onto emotions. The bad thing is when we jump and we go with emotions as fact, because emotions are not always fact. Emotions are very subjective. When we go on emotions as fact, like he feels like he's being targeted, he feels like he's being victimized, he feels like Upchurch is trying to hurt him. I feel horrible for him. Upchurch is trying to hurt him. Well, now we've taken an emotion and we've assigned behaviors to it that have not occurred. So the story is flawed. It's flawed from the get-go. But then we run with it and we forget to verify this, to test this theory, to look at why we are feeling like we need to also propagate this emotion. And we forget sometimes to sit back and actually look at historical, factual, physical evidence. And so I would just ask everyone to be super critical. We all know that Ryan jumps onto topics and he gets super aggressive with them. He gets super obsessed with them. It is the way his brain works. He has spoken many times online about his ADHD. And this is in one way you see it work very profoundly, very loudly, but also he makes it work for what he wants to do. So if he's very interested in something, he will use his ADHD to benefit him while he researches, studies, and grabs all the information. He has, in many ways, learned to live with his ADHD in a very beautiful balance, because it kind of disappears when he needs it to disappear, and he can focus on being a songwriter and a musician and in his relationships and in his family life. But then when he really wants to burn the candle at both ends, he has that extra capacity that a lot of us don't have to really put the juice, on something and go after it like nobody else can. And the fact that people look at that behavior and immediately want to assign negative substance uses to that. And when we've seen this consistency, this consistent, we've seen this consistency. I can't talk consistently from him. Whew, that was a humdinger. We've seen this from him over the last basically decade. So we know this is his foundation. If this was substance fueled, we would also see a massive personal, mental, emotional, physical crash and burn. But he just keeps coming back stronger. So you just have to look at things and go, why? Why am I having this feeling? Why am I following this emotion? Why am I taking your story as fact? And why am I not accepting everything with an open door policy and looking at everything? And why, when other people state the most important thing is finding this girl and overturning every stone, flipping them all over to look in the smallest of spaces, why do they become uncomfortable when they soon have stones being flipped on their acreage? Why do they become defensive? Because if it was me, I'd be like, heck yeah, look at me. Yeah, go ahead. No, click me off the list. Go ahead and turn me over. Okay, good. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. I would be fine with it because I would understand that mode of thinking. Everyone's a suspect until they've been checked. It makes perfect sense to me. And now, does he always go at it with the best etiquette? No. He does get a little too passionate and a little too hypervigilant sometimes, and I'm like, okay, chill out just a little bit. But that is also another aspect of how his brain works. And when he gets in those modes, you just have to understand chemically, hormonally, and from a neural synapses firing position about what's going on. So I get it. I understand what's going on. I just want everybody to look at the energy shift and be like, what's going on? Why has the goalpost moved? Why was it yesterday Kylie was the most important thing? But today, this stranger that I didn't even know who he was, what he was, perhaps, perchance, may have a blight upon him that he may need to explain. Okay, still not as important as this missing girl. Why is that taking front seat? Why is that taking precedence? Why is that very important? And why should we all be emotionally concerned for this grown man who is putting himself on a public forum and welcoming people into a controlled environment, and then he wants to scream victim? Okay, if you have this going on and you welcome people into your space and you control that space, then you should not be screaming victim. You control that space. You should show people how to appropriately control that space. If you have an interview that you think goes south or is not going to be productive or is counterproductive to what you're trying to support, stop it. Just put them out of your studio and let them go. For me, this was kind of a setup. We get into something that he's interested in. We pull him in, we use him, we've got a lot of views, a lot of subs, and now we extend our livelihood, and with this twist. And I, particularly if that is what's going on, everybody needs to look at that from many perspectives and make your mind up about that. That's not my decision to make for you. But for me, when I look at it, I see someone who is probably using this in many ways to benefit themselves. And while I don't think that's negative normally, because this is probably his job and what he does. But if you're going to be in true crime and you're going to take on a fresh case where there's possibly someone's life in the balance, you should learn how to handle it appropriately. And always understand that when you take on those fresh cases where these people could still be alive somewhere, like that, it's fresh. Like, we don't know what's going on. There's so many questions. You probably should always make sure that that is front and center, the most important thing that you're talking about, discussing, and that you're always making the case more important than whatever else is going on. Now, if you can benefit from doing that and doing it ethically, that's great. I have no problem with that. But if the benefit takes on a somewhat shady or unethical slant, and things start to happen that take the limelight off of what it needs to be on, then I stand back and go, why are we here? What happened? We just hit a kiss your butt curve, didn't we? I thought we were going really good down the road right then, and now we're over here in left field. What the crap happened? So very much, I was very proud to see Ron come out after that and be like, okay, call the cops on me. I will, fully, if you think I've done something wrong or you think I'm somehow need to be looked at, do it. So he's laid himself bare. Okay. I think anyone that is handling this, talking about this, needs to understand that that is possibly something that will need to happen. If you put yourself in the middle of this, you potentially will have to be viewed. You will potentially have to be taken off a list. You will have to be seen as a potential suspect because you're interested in this disappearance. You have to understand that. And so for people in the true crime community that get butthurt because people then look at them critically, but that's your job. You look at people critically all the time. Why are you butthurt when it happens to you? You should anticipate that critical eye being reversed. Because now I have a very critical way of thinking, I fully expect everyone else to be a critical thinker too. And it doesn't bother me when people have critical questions or they want to get personal, because I understand how they're thinking. I understand kind of what they're going for. And once again, this is my platform. I have to control it. So I have to understand all of these things as someone that puts myself in this public eye. So it's just the energy shift for me was strange. And watching people just run off and follow the new victim wait, we've still got a missing girl. What happened? Why were you that easily shifted? Why was your attention so easily removed and placed elsewhere? Does that happen a lot in life? Do we perhaps need to be more accountable about where we are focused and why we are focused where we are focused? And we need to look at that and go, ooh, I don't have the best focus. And I certainly don't have the best ethical concerns when it comes to where I put my focus. I should never have followed this side story off. I should have been maintained on finding that girl and maintaining that. That was the key thing here. That was the big thing that was supposed to happen. We were supposed to work together to find this girl. A lot of questions, a lot of concerns. But if you start to make your concerns everyone else's concerns, then we have to make everyone else's concerns. And pretty soon we're just chasing sore butts, and we're not doing any good work for Kylie and her family. And I'm just sitting here going, why did that happen? Why did it happen? And the uncomfortable behavior of that female in that interview the other night with the other panel, I did a video on the body language. Do I know her? No, don't know her from Adam. But what I did pick up on is she was terribly uncomfortable and anxious. And she was very uncomfortable with some of the things that Ryan was placing out there to be thought about. And when you're uncomfortable with somebody else's thought pattern, it's normally because it's going in a way that you don't want it to go for some reason. So where was Ryan's thought pattern going? And why was she so adamant about stopping it or distracting him from finishing his statements or deflecting or saying, oh, well, we're just going to have to wait for this guy to show up so we know the truth? It was just very odd for me because what I read from her body language was I'm uncomfortable. I know more than I'm telling you. I have some hidden knowledge, but I can't talk about it. But I'm uncomfortable because he's dancing pretty close to my neck of the woods, and I have to stop this. And do I know that for a fact? No. That's just what I picked up on the body language. Could I be absolutely wrong? Yeah. Do I want everyone else to go and watch that and make their own assumptions and beliefs? Yeah, you should. Never take anything else that anyone else says as fact. Go and research it yourself. Even with everything Ryan is saying, he is very adamant to say, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm putting together. This is, and he's trying to share how his perspective works. We're not all going to get it. We're not all going to share it, and that's fine. But he is at least telling y'all to go look, go see what you think. And he certainly is not trying to stop anyone from looking at himself or anyone else. He understands that the gate's wide open, and everyone is a potential suspect. So for me, it just seemed very strange. The shift was very strange. The behavior of people that apparently make this a livelihood and claim to be somewhat professional at doing so. You got to be in control of your domain. You've got to be in control of your guests. You've got to make sure that you're, if you're only wanting to show certain information on your show, you need to be talking about that with your guests beforehand, because that's your ground to control. And so to see it go south and then to see it take on this new life and to see it move away from Kylie has really irritated me. It's really irritated me. And most people are all about numbers for channels. I don't want a big channel. I just want the people that come here to come here for the right reasons. And if you give me time, I want you to give me time because you want to be here and it's out of the right place in your heart. I'm not the most interesting person. I am certainly not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm not going to do the most stimulating activities. I craft and share psychobabble and talk about my perspective on things going on within society. I don't anticipate to be a YouTube star because there are some days I am just barely functioning to get out of the bed with my neuromuscular disorder. You may miss me for a couple weeks at a time if I'm hospitalized or have a very bad flare. So this is not a livelihood for me, but it certainly is a passion. And I don't know, I just felt the shift and it just didn't jive well with me. And I wanted everybody to pay attention to where you're putting your energy and why you're putting it there and how it got there to begin with, and understand that you are in control of what you're looking at, and make sure that you're seeking valid information and not following or buying anybody else's story. Do your own research. So, okay, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to shut up, and I've got some stuff I've got to do. And I'm going to, I think it's fixing to storm here as well, so I'm going to get off here while it's lightning. And I will check in. But I knew last night when he went MIA, something important had happened. And then Miss Patty was sweet enough to message me and let me know that he was okay and he was working on a video because something had occurred that he needed to share. And obviously, I just sit back and wait then because that's his information to give you all. That's his video to share. I'm not going to leak anything. So I just sat back and waited for the video to be released. He did more panels last night after he shared his video, but I don't know. Normally, I'm an early bird, and so he does his panels normally when I'm snoring. That's why it's so hard for us to get together, because of the time issue, and I'm an old person. But we'll see if we can make it happen. We'll see if nothing else. if we cannot at least maybe do a little Q&A or do a couple questions that he may want that I can ask him on his Instagram that he may want to screenshot and share with other people so that y'all kind of understand the things that I would look at or I would ask him about the information that he's gathering. So that might be of interest to you all. But right now, he needs to be putting himself out on the big channels with the big numbers so that the most people see him, and I'm okay with that. I'll catch him when it's right. So that's fine. Scott, I think you're probably correct. Yeah, I think, yeah, and I think it was just, I think it was created to be a culmination of crap so that he would have a crap show for a while. And that's sad because there's, you know, human lives hanging in the balance and the happiness of her family and the sanity of her family. I can't imagine what they're going through. So I think you're right, Scott. Okay. So, um, pretty good response. Probably the best one I've seen pop up here. Okay. I'm going to shut up and maybe I'll see you later. Maybe I won't, but check the community post to see if anything else comes up. Bye, guys.